Alright, now that you have your Lucy set up, you have it centered on your paper, the clamp off to one side, away from your good arm, you can start drawing. If you want to switch it from left to right-handed, you can just move the clamp over, flop it around, twist the head, and I'll go over more detail how to do that and show you how to do it later, but just to let you know you can switch back and forth from left to right-handed. Now the orientation I have this Lucy set up is the orientation where you're standing and using it and looking down at the image. You can also set it up where you're sitting and looking straight through at the image, and you can also use it as at an easel. I'll show you those other two setups later in the video, but for now I'm just going to show you in this orientation and show you how to adjust the size and the position of your image, and also how to make the image brighter with the optical filters. And these principles will remain the same regardless of the orientation, and so I'll just show you in this way, and then show you how to set it up for sitting down or using at an easel later in the video. So the first thing you want to do is get your image where you want it on the paper. If you can look through and see your image, you're off to a good start. You can adjust the height of the Lucy to be comfortable for you. Move it up and down and keep it parallel. You don't want it to be up too much this way or too much that way. You want to keep it sort of the plane of the top of the Lucy parallel with the plane of your page so that it's all lined up nicely. And the trick with the size of the image and what you're looking at. The further something is away from you, the smaller it will become. The closer it is, the larger it will become. So the view of the camera Lucida looks out like this, and things in the distance, like a landscape, they shrink, they come into view, and you sort of point the Lucy at the landscape. Closer things like a still life or a person, you have doing a portrait or something, you have them sit down in front of you, or set the easel or set the still life in front of you, and then you pull them closer, they get larger, push them back, they get smaller, and you can move it back and forth to get the size that you want. Now, if I'm right here, nice and close, I need to change the view because I'm kind of looking up here like this. I want to kind of center it a little bit more. So you can just rock the Lucy forward, and you look a little bit lower, you rock it back, and you can see a little higher, and you look in there, just rock it back and forth till it's where you want it. Then twist the head here to make it look right. You look in there, you'll see as you twist it, sort of more of the image comes in the view as you twist it correctly depending on what angle it's at. So you just rock it till you see what you want, twist it till the full image comes in the view, and you see the elephant perfectly centered, beautiful on the page there, ready to draw. And so you have them where you want them. And if you couldn't see them in the first place because it was too dim, you should probably start with putting in the filters. I'll show you how to put in the filters now. The next step is to get that image brightness to the correct level that you need. It's always different depending on what you're drawing, the color of your drawing surface, and the lighting in the room. You want to have the room be well lit. You never want to be working in the dark. This is the camera Lucida. Lucida means light. So have the room be well lit. This operates off reflected light. You need to have light in the room. These filters are going to compensate for bad lighting and be able to adjust the brightness of the image so you can get it to where you want it. And so you got these two filters, and first thing you want to do when they're in the parts bags, you want to make sure you get that paper peeled off of both sides. Until the paper's peeled off both sides, you cannot use these. You want them to look like transparent tinted glass. So it's important that you have the paper peeled off of them. So look through the hole, and you can hold them in your hand and see that one is darker than the other. And hold them in front of the image and see what they do. Put your pencil down there so you can see how bright the image is relative to your pencil to give you a better idea of what you're dealing with. Hold your one filter, hold the other filter, hold both filters, and see which of those combinations you like best to give you the optimal brightness of your image. And you're not going for the brightest image possible. You're going for an optimal balance between your drawing surface and your subject. You want to be able to see a ghost image of your subject, meaning it's still transparent, so you can see your pencil and your hands and your pencil marks. If you have the image so bright that you can't see what you're drawing, it's not doing you any good. And on the other hand, if the image is so dim you can't see it, and all you see is your drawing, it's also not doing you any good. You're trying to find a balance. In the given lighting situation here, I'm going to go with the lighter filter and put that on to be able to start drawing. So you take this, one of the screw and thumb nut that come in the parts bag, remove the thumb nut, thread it through the hole on the filter, replace the thumb nut, have the fatter end on the outside that's easier to turn, thread it on there, leave yourself enough room to put it on the bottom filter brace here. When you put filters on the bottom filter brace, it makes the image brighter. When you put them on the upper filter brace, it makes the image dimmer. Most of the time, the image is fine as is, doesn't need a filter, or you need to make the image brighter. So most of the time, your filter is going to be going in the bottom here. There are situations where where you put the filter on top, and that would be when the image is so bright you can't see your pencil marks. That kind of happens if you're in the shade, looking out on a bright subject, maybe in a building, looking out on a sunny day, and that's convenient when you need to do that. But for now, what we're going to do, and most times you're going to do, is put it on the bottom. Screw threaded through the hole there, thumb nut on the bottom. Have enough thread on there where you can fit it on the filter brace like that. Just put it on there and hold it in place. Kind of pinch it right there, holding the screw, top of the screw. That way you can turn the thumb screw on the thumb nut on the bottom until it's nice and tight. Before you give its final turn, make sure everything's square and good. Tighten it. If you're going to have both filters on at the same time, you're just going to want to put the screw through both filters like that. Tighten it, just give it like a half twist on there to save yourself plenty of room. Then repeat the same process. Make sure they're all straight. Give it its final turn. Then, now I have it all put together. The image is centered, the right size in the middle of my paper. I have it the brightness I need. I can start drawing. Now, I think to remember about the filters is that you might want to change the brightness as you get going. Maybe originally when you first start, you don't want to use a filter at all. You want the image to be kind of dim so you can see your marks really well and get all the outlines and big portions of it sketched out. Maybe add a filter or a darker filter later while you're drawing when you want to get more detail. Or you can also just hold one of the other filters loose in your hand if you just want to make it bright for a second. So you're looking through here and I just want to see a detail right there a little bit better. I can hold the filter right in front of it. I can just get that detail real fast without changing the entire setup. You can just do a quick view by holding it in your hand. What you can also do by holding it in front to make the image dimmer, which is a convenient thing you can do as you start to draw and you're looking through here. You can hold this up here and get rid of some of the reflection of the image so you see just your drawing and see how it's coming together and see how it looks. So when you start drawing, regardless of what you're doing, the principles are the same. This is a virtual image, and so if your head moves or this gets bumped and moved out of the way, the image will move. So the first thing you want to do is set up a couple of key spots, mark a couple of key locations on the drawing. Look through there, and I'm going to mark a little spot here where I'm outlining part of it. Down here I'm going to outline part of it. I'm going to have those as references. So if I want to take a break, I want to go take lunch, I want to, something gets bumped or moved, I can line it back up at those marks, and then I know that everything's lined up and I can continue drawing. Then after you do that, just keep an eye on those marks that you made and just sketch around the image. Try to get everything that you think is important. You obviously want to get all the lines, the placements of shadows, any other detail that you think is important. Just keep sketching until you have a good sketch to start your drawing with. Now, as well, some other tips about using this is that you want to have your eye right close to the view hole. There's a little wall here to help block out light. If extra light gets into the view hole, it can create a little spot in the middle of your image. And so you close off letting more light get in there by having your eye be close to it. You don't need to be touching it even. You just have to be close to it. It's best to just kind of be barely, almost touching it, kind of just right there, close. You can see the little spot in the middle disappears as you get close. And when you're close, you're good to go. You're not worried about blocking the image or letting light in on the image. When you stand, it's most comfortable when you're doing it this way. Obviously, if you're sitting or using an easel, it's going to be a little bit different. But when you're standing, kind of put your hips at a 45-degree angle from the table. No need to pull out a protractor or anything, nothing too specific. Just kind of stand at a little bit of an angle with your good arm forward. So if you're left-handed, you're going to do the opposite. You're right-handed. So that way it gives you it's more comfortable to lean forward and have your nose off to the side, look through the view hole, and have your good arm out here ready to draw. If you're kind of square on it like this, you look down like that, it's not quite as comfortable to have your head off to the side like this and have your body straight. If you just turn your whole body, it gives you a lot more reach on your arm, a lot more comfortable. Your head naturally is coming from the side and everything. It works a lot better. That's just a tip to keep it more comfortable. Then after you sketch everything out, you get your drawing the way you want it, you're just going to set your camera loose to the side and finish everything with your normal drawing or painting techniques. This is not something you use to do all the detail and all the shading, just to get the sketch and the outline, get everything done proportionally correct so that you can have do the rest of your art and be a lot more satisfied with what you have at the end because you started correctly.